Okay, I'm checking this oak forest over here to see if the acorn started dropping yet. That's the primary food source in the fall for the deer and the bears. And last year, when I walked up on that bush right there, there's a freaking bear den. There was like 5 or 6 different fresh bear beds inside of it. I got this little riparian habitat area. Plenty of feed for deer. I'm checking this little oak forest. I got my camera on tripod in case I see some cool wildlife I want to film, but this time I got my 270 ready. Just in case something comes flying out. I'm dropping the damn phone if something comes flying out of there. The squirrel just went in there, so that's a good sign. See, the twig just vibrated right on the front right side of it, not where the squirrel was. If I get mauled by a bear, catch it on film and be a YouTube star. Okay, here's the oak forest. I'm gonna set my gear down so I can have a closer look around. See if the acorns have dropped, and if they have dropped and they haven't been eaten. I'm carrying a bunch of shit on purpose for training. Okay, I'll put the camera down. I also got a game camera on my neck and binoculars in my backpack. So we're checking for acorns and we're checking for deer and bear. Beer sign. Beer means bear or deer. We just had rain, so anything fresh, anything showing will be fresh. Not seeing acorns on the ground. Check the trees next after a little look around. It looks a little beaten down in here, like they've been in here. See, there's a trail that goes right through the middle. I might stick a game cam on this trail if there's a sign. I am not seeing acorns. I know they're dropping in my yard. I had a bear in my yard last night. Posted a print earlier. This is a different species of oak. I'm not sure what these are. They're kind of like a white oak. I gotta learn more of my oaks, especially since I moved. I'm not seeing acorns. That's some doe pellets that are a week old or so. There's a little bit of a trail going that way. Definitely trails in here, but so far it looks like they've gobbled them all up, would be my conclusion at this point. I'm not seeing brand new scat. I'm not seeing them hanging on the trees. You know, most of the time hunting is just an excuse to get out and observe nature and hike. I mean, how gorgeous is this? Got the moss hanging down. They call that old man's beard. And a pretty good deer trail or game trail going this way. Well, here's a bed. See right there, there's a bed, but it's not fresh either. So I think this was a piece of fungi. I think this place has been cleaned out. There's prints in here, but nothing fresh. I have yet to see one acorn hanging in a tree. Oh, there we go. Here's a couple. Kind of hard to spot. Right up there's a couple of acorns. Two of them side by side. I can zoom just so you can maybe see it. Hard to pick up in the camera. Yeah, right there. See them? Right there. So those two haven't dropped yet, but man, they should be loaded up. I'm not seeing them anywhere else. Maybe one over there. No, it's just a brown leaf. So, based on the amount of traffic that was in here, but it's not fresh anymore, there's one on the ground. Here's another one on the ground. But not a lot. So I think this place has been cleaned out. This would be a great spot for archery because it's this nice little isolated oak forest, about an acre in size. Like here's some more on the ground, little immature ones. There, there, and there. So these aren't ripe ones. Maybe they pass those up. Here's another bed right there. See that area? And then there's a pretty good worn game trail going down that way, but none of it's fresh. It did have rain. Another thing you look for is it's a broken branch that's not trampled. Yeah, I think they cleaned this spot out. See, normally, let's see. That's just a growth. Yeah, these aren't acorns. They're like some sort of a growth, sort of a like parasite type species. So this would be a great spot during archery season, but it looks like they clean it out before rifle season opens. You can see this whole area they've bedded and trampled in here. Which is probably why that bear den is so close, so they can kind of keep it to themselves. There's a trail going in and out, but it's not recently used. Yeah, look over here. You see trails that way, and then look at how trampled that ground is right there. See all that? It's probably hard to pick up in the camera, but it's all kind of trampled. And yeah, look at, there's some holes. Oh yeah, look at, there's holes all through here, mixed with pellets. Yeah, look at the holes are all through here. Okay, that proves it. This spot already dropped its acorns and has been cleaned out, so next year I'm not going to worry about this spot for rifle season, but for archery hunting this will be a hot spot. Put a tree stand up in one of these trees and clear the branches out with a pole saw to give you some shooting lanes. But yeah, look, this is all trampled in here. The acorns are like pure carbs, so they fatten them up. There's a deer bed. Another deer bed. I already showed you that one. So they fatten them up for the winter time. It's a main staple. Which one of the clear cutting that does both good and bad. The good part is, it took me decades to figure this out. Ooh, before I do, that's quartz rock. That's where the gold comes from. It comes up through the ground in quartz when this was molten. So basically, silicon, which is like the most common element on Earth. Yeah, here's some more. I'm trying to hold a rifle and camera at the same time. Here's some old holes. Anyway, going back to the clear cuts. I used to be 100% opposed to them, but they do good and bad. And they do more good than they do bad. You see this clear cut, how it's opened up? And then what you get is what they call re-emergent new growth. See all the greenery in there? Let's see. See all that greenery? That's re-emergent new growth. That's what the deer and elk feed on. If you go here up at the top, there's some berries or something along in there. And so that's what natural wildfire used to do. You get a lightning strike, it'd burn 5, 10, 20 acres, maybe larger, maybe shorter. And it would open up areas like this. And then the animals would come in and feed. Yeah, look at the top. There's some deciduous bushes. It might be a Pacific. Shit, I'm missing the. I forget. Dogwood. There it is. That's probably Pacific dogwood right there. Anyway, so the clear cut mimics a wildfire because the white man started putting out wildfires. And when you get an overgrown dense forest, there's no re-emergent new growth. And there's no feed. And so the population just crashes. You can see right there. See all that growth? Because it's getting sun. See that? The bad part is they reforest it with evergreens. And then you lose food sources like these oak trees in here. Now this hasn't been touched by loggers because it's just all oak. It's kind of a pocket. But anyway, all the any western hunter knows you hunt old burns and you hunt clear cuts. That's where the deer go and the elk go to feed. It's another quartz rock. So there's this ridge probably exists because there's a outcropping of quartz and other hard rock in here. That's how it was formed. There's gold in there. It could be microscopic. Who knows? Yeah, you can see this area is all beaten down. So anyway, that's my tour of this cool little oak forest I found. I think I found it last year. So that'd be a good spot for a tree stand. And look at the shooting lane you got. Trim a few of those branches out of the way. Come in here when these acorns start dropping. But rifle season, too late. Here's more example of the clear cuts. And then another thing they do, which looks ugly, but it's actually not a bad practice, is they do what's called lop and scatter. So you see all the branches, all the stuff that doesn't go to the mill, they just leave it on the ground and they scatter it around. There's regulations about how much they have to scatter it. And what that does is it helps slow erosion control. If it was left bare with the scarring from the heavy equipment, you lose that topsoil, which you can see those bare rocky spots. See there, those are called skid trails where they drug the logs down. All the topsoil's gone, it's been washed away. So that's environmental damage. So there's good and bad with clear cuts. Here's an example of the good. You can see all the greenery in there that the deer and elk can feed on. You look further up, see that right down there? If that was just thick forest like that, there'd be no sun penetration. Like up in there, no sun penetration. There'd be no feed for the animals. They don't eat pine needles and fir needles. They eat the emergent new growth, like this blackberry bush right here. And these willows that are down here. So, conclusion is that the clear cuts are better than nothing, but allowing natural fire, lightning-caused fires to just do its natural role would be the ideal, because that's how things happened 200 years ago before white man came in and fucked it all up.